What's going on, guys? Killer6 back with another top 5 video for you, and this time I'm breaking down the 5 things that I feel could make Borderlands 3 the absolute best Borderlands game to date. Now, obviously, for those of you guys that dislike the story, well, I get it. The ending wasn't really my cup of tea, but on the whole, I enjoyed the story, so regardless, they won't be able to change that. But these 5 things that I'm going to list are things that they can and should do to make Borderlands 3 the best Borderlands yet.
Number 5.
Getting us started at number 5, buffs to legendary items that are underperforming. Now, Gearbox has nerfed a few items for overperforming, so how about taking a swing at the opposite end of the spectrum? We know that they can see information about what items are being used, so we can only assume that they can see guns like the Woodblocker, the Lob, the ASMD, Malek's Bane, and many other legendaries that are almost never used. So maybe take a closer look at these guns and find ways to improve their performance. Pretty much all legendary snipers need a buff since they all feel weaker than blue rarity mashers from the same range. Same goes for most shotguns as well. Most of them are great in normal mode, but when you move into late game and especially mayhem levels, your gear choices get limited dramatically.
Number 4.
Coming at number 4, the traditional Borderlands 2 style raid bosses. The Maliwan takedown is a blast, and I'm honestly looking forward to more takedown style content, but sometimes I just want to load into a zone, head over to a raid arena, and beat a raid boss's ass. Now, remember how much fun you can have in Borderlands 2 just by farming Hyperius or Terramorphous or Pyropete? I know that the average player probably didn't solo those bosses, but it was awesome to have those challenges there, even for a multiplayer team to go get together. That would also give us a use for Iridium, since raids in Borderlands 2 required an Iridium entry fee. Additionally, I would also love to see a Headhunter style add-on that's like a Moxie's Underdome, but for raid bosses. You can bring back all the classics like Chromarax, Pyropete, Hyperius, Vermivorous, and more. Just make them as like Digistructed versions to test Vault Hunter's potential. There's really no downside to such a thing, and I would imagine that reusing those assets would be moderately easy for Gearbox to do. This would be a lot of fun and give us even more content to play.
Number 3.
At number 3, new and improved storage systems could be huge for this game. There is so much to collect on each character that I am overwhelmed trying to organize my inventory, and being on PC, I have a massive advantage since I can just copy a save file and make mules to hold additional gear. Meanwhile, my console friends unfortunately have to make a new character and get them all the way to Sanctuary just to have that additional storage outside of the shared bank. And speaking of the shared bank, while it's great that we can share 300 items between all of our characters, how about an additional safe in our rooms in Sanctuary that is just for that character? Assign it to your actual save file for the character and not to the profile save, and voila! Now the mule creation is almost not even needed, especially if we can store upwards of 300 items or more for that specific character in their very own bank. Furthermore, how about an app for your phone or even a web browser that allows you to move inventory from one character to another, or from your Vault Hunter to another character? This was something that existed even for Destiny 1. I know it would take time and resources, but contract the Destiny item manager crew. Those guys are brilliant and should be able to solve this problem.
Number 2.
At number 2, cutscene skip. This is a must for Borderlands 3 at this point. I know that they've said that they're working on it, but honestly I don't see how this just wasn't something implemented at launch. I realize that they've also said that the cutscenes are used to load in-game info and levels, but take the Rampager cutscene for example, where we see Maya, Troy, Tyreen, and Ava, no spoilers here. There's no reason why that shouldn't just be a skippable movie file. The Vault Hunter is never seen in any of those cutscenes. Nothing about the cutscene ever changes at all. So make those movie files and give us the option to skip them. If something needs to load, then do that like Borderlands 2 did with the skippable Marcus story at the beginning, and have the button say something like "loading, please wait," and then once it's done loading whatever information it needs to load, then it'll pull up the little skip button. We can click that and move on with our lives. Also, when we move into true Vault Hunter mode, I would love to have the option to skip right to Sanctuary and skip that whole opening phase. Honestly, I would love the option that you can just have a true Vault Hunter mode that is just a toggle and doesn't even require you to replay the story, but instead gives you all of your normal mode progress moved into true Vault Hunter mode difficulty. But then it also resets all of your side quests so you can go after those rewards again at max level. That might not be doable, but I can dream.
Honorable mention.
For my honorable mention, Headhunter content that is permanent additions to the game. While the Bloody Harvest Halloween event was a nice free piece of content that arguably lasted a little too long and should have been optional, a way to combat that problem would have been to treat it like they did in Borderlands 2. Make it a headhunter pack, keep it as a permanent part of the game, and give players the option to avoid it completely. Likewise, this opens up the potential for other headhunters to come around seasonally and do things to keep other players engaged with new loot to hunt and things to do.
Number 1.
Finally, at number 1, dedicated loot drops need to be spread out even further. Right now, with Gearbox locking in the rare spawn enemies as 100% spawn rate and keeping their drop rates and anointment rates increased, we still have a slight loot problem. Let's take Borman Nates for example. Borman can drop the Psycho Stabber, which is a specific drop that you can only get from him, but he can also drop the Cutsman and the Saw Bar, both of which can also world drop. But if you're looking for a specific element and a specific anointment on a Cutsman, then Borman is your best source for that. But wouldn't it be better if he only had 2 items in his loot pool? I would like to see them either take the Cutsman or the Saw Bar out of his loot pool and move it to one of the many other enemies in the game that currently either have no drop at all or don't even respawn. There's literally more than 50 named enemies or chubby variants or loot variant enemies that have no assigned legendary drop. And there's several more that never even respawn, like Dump Truck and Undertaker, for example. Imagine how awesome it would be to load into the droughts and be able to do a full run around the zone. You kill the Demo Skaggins, Lavender Crawley, Dump Truck, Undertaker, you maybe spot a Chubby Skag and a Loot Tink along the way. Spreading out all the dedicated drops will make farming even more fun since you'd have less crowded loot pools, which means a greater chance to get the actual loot that you want. Now, before anybody gets the wrong idea, I don't want them to adjust world drop legendary rates. Sure, those happen a bit too much for my liking, but again, with anointed gear being the main thing to go after it in game, I'm absolutely fine with the occasional piece of gear falling from heaven and hooking me up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then please take a second to hit that like button and consider subscribing. I do lots of top 5s, top 10s, I cover all the hot fixes and patches, I make build guides for all the characters, and I cover legendary drops and farming guides as well. You can also catch me daily over at twitch.tv/killer6, link down in the description below, where I live stream Borderlands games. Let me know in the comment section below what changes you guys would most like to see implemented to improve Borderlands 3. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.